Hi there, and thanks once again for tuning into the Explaining History YouTube channel. And I promise, at the end of this week, I'm going to stop talking about Hitler for a while. I think that's what we all need. Okay, the thing I want to talk about, another area of kind of debunking and demything, is this idea that commonly comes up that Hitler was some kind of economic genius. There's a number of reasons why it would look as if he was, but when we examine the reality beneath the kind of the artifice, the fantasy, the stats don't really bear this out. Firstly, Hitler appears to be an economic genius because unemployment figures from 1933 onwards begin to rapidly decline. Secondly, he appears to be an economic genius because there are all manner of propagandistic and public displays of propaganda that show that that German people appear to be getting back to work. The German economy seems to have some kind of turnaround from 1934-35 onwards, but if you look under these this artifice, there is glaring evidence that Germany had not significantly improved economically, at least from the perspective of ordinary German people themselves, which is really the people that matter. Firstly, German living standards don't dramatically improve until the period of rearmament, and when they do improve, that starts to cause all sorts of unintended economic problems themselves. The German economy, unemployment does go down, not particularly due to fiscal stimulus, but due to the manipulation of unemployment statistics and also the mandatory enrolment of people into the workforce. Now, John Maynard Keynes argued that it was better to give a man, to pay a man for a day to dig a hole and then fill it in again, have him do something completely meaningless, than to have him go without work at all. The reason why he thought this was because it wasn't the net result of the man's labour at the end of the day that was of any value, it was the fact that the man had money in his pocket to then spend and therefore reflate the economy by putting money back into circulation. Hitler didn't understand this. The thing about Hitler that's abundantly clear is that he didn't understand economics, he had no interest in it, and he worked, in fact, in many ways, actively against the advice of economic advisors. Hitler believed that the importance of getting a man to work for a day was that it was transformative for the man in question, that he would eventually, through hard work, become inured to hard labour and become hardened and become the sort of Aryan German that would then go on and be an enormous success, an enormous asset to the nation in war or whatever other avenue he was assigned to. So, and we talk in he's here because this really is quite a gendered stuff. You know, Hitler didn't think that women should be in the workforce at all. So, the result of this is that pay for workers on the autobahns and other public works schemes is crushingly low. So low, in fact, that German families have to send food parcels and all sorts of things in order to stop the workers from going hungry. Therefore, there's no reflationary cycle. The wages that are spent after work aren't enough to put orders in shops and to get shopkeepers ordering from wholesalers and wholesalers ordering from factories, and therefore factories taking on workers, and the whole reflationary spiral beginning. Which is a complete misunderstanding of economics. When the German government decides in 1936 onwards to go into full-scale rearmament, much against Hjalmar Schacht's advice, he said, you'll get inflation, the economy isn't big enough to sustain this huge surge of cash into it. The Fuhrer isn't able to fully deal with the economic consequences thereof. When workers have lots of money, they want to buy nice things. This is something, especially if they've been quite hard up for some period of time. So when the munitions workers and industrial workers who are being given large chunks of money in new pay packets wanted to buy new things, what did they do? Well, they couldn't buy German luxury goods because most of the raw materials were now being siphoned towards Germany's war industries. So they buy foreign goods. And at the same time that Hitler wants to stockpile gold for his future war, he has a net outflow of cash pouring out of the economy. And therefore, the solution to this is our import controls, which don't really work, and then the failed bid at autarky. So, by the end of the 1930s, the only thing that really has done Hitler any good at all in economic terms, in raising living standards, is the fact that the world Great Depression has alleviated anyway, and there is in 1938 this sort of mini boom. But that's got very little to do with Hitler's own economic thinking, and it's difficult for us to ascribe to Hitler the nature of economic genius anyway, because he certainly didn't consider that was him at all. He had no interest in economics and probably believed very little in the kind of like the science of economics. His great economic theory, as put forward in Mein Kampf, is one of plunder. That the way to make your economy bigger is to invade other countries and take their resources. So I hope you found that useful, and I hope it steers you away from this very easy and really quite misleading and lazy thing that we all do when studying history. We're presented with stats and statistics about Hitler. We ascribe to him qualities that he, as a rather banal little character, did not have. Thanks.